Alright, so I don't really know how I'm going to piece this video together. If you saw the update on the Hi-Tek safety knife, where I kind of included like some random, small items from Harbor Freight, and then sort of tease some upgrades to the shop, there's one of them. There's another one of them, and yes, there might be something else. But this is the U.S. General 44-inch roll cart and cabinet, whatever you want to call it, toolbox. My logic was pretty simple when I did these. This isn't necessarily something that I acquired for tools per se, like sockets, wrenches, pliers, that type of stuff. It very well could wind up holding some of them. We could move and design like specialty drawers or something like that. I have so many things that I didn't have a place for. There's some like kind of specialty odd and end tools, like the hot knife, for example. Don't really have a good place to put that in the box. It's an odd dimension. It doesn't, tie in with anywhere else. A whole bunch of stuff. I've already started filling this so I could continue cleaning. That's a bad example. Let's see. Stuff like this, okay? Like this is just wire wrap, loom, whatever you want to call it. How did I store it prior to this? It was all in like 2 to 3 boxes, depending on when I ordered it and what sizes I thought I needed, and then if I had to correct the size and so on and so forth. So this stuff just gets to a point where it's like, man, this is like really inefficient. It's in boxes strung out across the shop. It'd be nice if it was just consigned to one location and I knew where it was and we just went to town in that manner. So that's sort of what this is doing. None of this is finalized. This was literally just me needing floor space and getting this stuff moved and the boxes cut down. So that's all it is. This top drawer you would be really interested in because I've just stocked it with some stuff for upcoming tool hauls that literally came in today. It is frigid. It's like 30 degrees. We've been sitting in the 70s and 80s with winds in that same category. And of course, as the weekend hits, it just gets freaking cold. But that's kind of what I have in mind here. I'm also going to say I think I screwed up. I hate to say it, but I'm not dishonest. The bottom drawer is not near as deep as I thought it was. Case in point, if I bring you up here, see that guy, the little fan? Yeah, stuff like that. Obviously, days like this, I don't need the fan going. It would be nice to not have to have that on display or sitting out somewhere, right? I think I finally convinced myself to get rid of its box, so there goes that storage option. Still have to find somewhere for the box. I think where I would have done better is if I had deeper drawers. The top even, I might want a little bit deeper, but like the thin ones are going to be great. So, I mean, this isn't like a total loss. And when I was sitting there thinking of those, it was, I'm thinking of like the wire care stuff, loom, cable ties. I've got like special fancy cable ties, all that kind of stuff, heat shrink in different colors. You get the idea. If this had a slightly deeper or really deep bottom drawer, kind of like my Husky, maybe the same footprint up to the second drawer, and then replicated that or had it just slightly less deep, and then we got into like the thin wrench drawers, that would have been ideal. I'm not gonna lie, what my plan was and why I have 2 of them, number one, they had a huge sale. Number 2, I don't trust the economy for this stuff to ever, like in the conceivable future, get better. These, at this day and age, are regularly priced at $5.99. They shaved $100 off of them. I think I got to put a coupon on them. I had to pay freight, which that's a crazy story in and of itself. It's $100 per box, essentially, which kind of sucks because if you deal anything with freight, that's like roughly your freight minimum. If you're running this on your own account type of thing, you'd probably save a good chunk of money, but typically, if you're shipping me like a gallon of paint, they're going to stick you for the minimum. It's going to be, depending on the carrier, and how many inner lines and all that junk, 90 to 100 to get you in the door, right? So it's not a terrible price point. I didn't have the truck ready. I couldn't get away in one ever. I can rarely get away from work before Harbor Freight closes. Anyway, they've since added, I've not investigated it, but I'm constantly monitoring the site to track stuff, which we'll get into that shortly. We had a deal where they've now added like a site to store delivery for $49. obviously I would have picked that because it's also next day. It's half the price and it's next day. That was not a thing. That literally came up like Thursday or Friday. I'm filming this Saturday night, standing in front of a cold door letting a draft in. But the main thing here is I had to do what I had to do. I felt like even paying, collectively $200, if you will, in shipping, I don't know that these aren't going to go up in price. You kind of follow my drift there. Like, everything has gone up. It doesn't show signs of stopping. Things are getting ridiculous. There could be material shortages. People seem to trend towards shutting things down all the time. It's a whole political thing we could get into that I'm not going to, but I don't like the direction the world is headed and don't agree with it. I'll just leave it at that. And as long as it's trending in that direction, this could Easter, this could be $7.99 a box. And then your $100 off brings it to $6.99, which is $100 more than the regular price when I got it before the $100 off with a coupon type of a deal. So kind of this was my time to strike. It was sort of a two-headed deal. And also my other big fear is, let's say the price is maintained, would the stock be there type of a thing? Like, if I got one and I'm like, man, this is perfect, I should have pulled the trigger for the second one, I would have saved money. Let's say that the price is the same. Well, is it going to show up ever? Will it be here by Easter? Are they projecting maybe by June the containers will be released? Who knows? So the stock was there. I just said, screw it, let's do it. And you've got the Yukon 9 drawer with the wooden top for like $3.99. I'm not sure if I wouldn't be better off with one of them, not both. Like, I'll admit when I kind of screwed up, it's not as ideal as I'd hoped it would be. But if I had just like this cabinet with like 7 drawers even, like if it was split, down the middle type of thing, or offset, just 3 and 3, right? Instead of the 6 there, that would be really, really good for me. In addition to like the power tools, like the Hercules, Impact, stuff like that, I would love to have had space to put storage containers, whether it's a pack out, the cheap equivalents that I typically buy, Plano, like tackle boxes that are repurposed for nuts and bolts or something. That type of stuff would be perfect for me in one. Then stuff like, again, I don't know these drawers well enough because I was just populating them. That's currently just shrink wrap. We're going to do a better job with that later. Cable ties, stuff like that, I don't need the extra depth in the drawers for. So I think kind of one of these and then one with like 7 drawers. Give me this at the top, maybe a little deeper, and then just give me 3 per bank extra deep drawers. And you might slide it open and you would see like a pack out full of like electrical connections or something, right? So am I totally disappointed? No, because I actually really like, this is the fanciest toolbox I've ever had. I think it's like the Husky I got isn't bad. I've never actually specifically shown it. You've seen in drawers several times. But I've never had anything where I like have to physically push the drawer in because there's a latch system. Like, I'm used to the Craftsman stuff, the old school Waterloo and Proto boxes from way back in the day. So this is like fancy stuff for me, But this will be ideal. I mean, I can pack that thing full of like butt connectors, tape, all that sort of stuff, and then take it to town from there. Obviously, the bottom 2 drawers, I can fit, laying down, air tools, impacts, that type of stuff. I've got some other things in mind we're not going to talk about, but yeah, that guy's sitting there totally unutilized. Now, he was the first one that got in here, okay? And it was delivered at the same time as another item that is not this, and it was fine. The box was in good shape. It didn't look like it had been hit. Didn't look like it had a great transit. The casters on these, if you did not know, they ship installed, which is cool. But basically, for me to get this thing off the pallet, let's just take you over here. This was required, okay? The whole 3-pound sledge. I basically had to knock those stupid risers out, lift up on one side, slide it down. It wasn't too bad, but then the problem was The guy delivered it to the driveway of the house, and the shop is far away from there. So this guy right here has been off-roading. He survived. I don't even have the handle on it, but I just basically shot him through the grass and made it. The biggest issue, I've got crushed rock for my driveway. Funny story, I was trying to get it asphalted a couple weeks ago, and the guy flaked out. And yeah, that would have been really convenient had that have happened, because spoiler alert, even though these aren't super heavy, they sink in crushed rock really, really bad. So, but this one I got inside. Everything here that you saw in that sort of like mini update video is gone, okay? The two little funky homemade tables are over there. I've got the 8 3/4 currently under the charger, which again is a perfect fit. Everything else is just like I've moved it, I'm getting rid of it, I'm cleaning it up. It's been a long process. My plan, if you're thinking like, okay, why 2 though? You know, even if the drawers would have been ideal for what you were doing. Well, my thoughts were, this is 44 inches, right? So 44 times 2 is 88. 88 is not quite 8 feet. 8 feet, 12 inches a foot, you're at 96 inches. So my thoughts, I've got leftover angle iron down there, 2-inch angle, right? 2x2, if you're curious, squared, whatever you want to call it. And I was thinking like, okay, perfect. You know, you're going to come in and you're going to build yourself a workbench, and you're just going to nest these underneath it. You know, they're never really going to roll out or move or anything. They can if you want them to, if you want to sweep. If you're just like redoing everything, that's an option. But I was just going to build an 8-foot workbench and have these underneath it, right? If I wanted to go longer or add like a centerpiece, sort of like the little narrow file cabinet looking box, I was going to be able to do that. I don't know that I'm going to do that now, and it's mainly because after getting this thing in here, I don't think there's anything revealing here. This is actually not a bad work surface. Again, you know, there's certain things I wouldn't want to do on top of the toolbox. I'd prefer a table, but I could also do a lot here, and I'm not like super concerned. You know, like if I throw a transmission up here, you know, that's not the end of the world. But regardless of what you've done to the transmission, it's going to leak, right? You're going to have ATF. That stuff goes everywhere. You get like a drop the size of this, you know, little flick of cardboard, and I mean, it'll take out an area, you know, like 100 times larger. So we could put a work surface on this. You know, I could cut, you know, wood, and then I could put steel on top of that. I could butt them together and sort of like, you know, conjoin the wood here, sort of like with a riser style, and have the end caps and have it overhang, stick a vise over here, stick a vise on that end, be able to hold stuff for cutting. All kinds of options. Right now, the sky is the limit. It's just after getting them in, I'm like, I don't know what we should do. Now, there's also the option I've thought of where I like trade that one to somebody or try to sell it and get, you know, like the cheaper Yukon deal or a Husky cabinet. The other big deal, if you're thinking like, oh, the Husky cabinet's a better deal, you get more space. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but the 22-inch depth, while I would love this to be like 4 feet deep, I'm not going to lie, I've got a door right here. So the 22 is like perfect. I've got it sort of in the optimal location for the door to currently swing open right now. So 22-inch depth is about as good as it gets. In a perfect world, I'd be able to like swap the drawers around, or, you know, like Harbor Freight had kits where I could convert, you know, like that 2 rows of drawers to another deep one or something. But I'm going to populate this one, and then we'll figure this guy out. The sad thing here is, anyone know what that is? Let me show you. Some of you might not even know. Yeah, it's a cassette deck. You jealous of my high-tech, state-of-the-art facilities here? I bet you are. So if you want to, you can record the radio with that if you didn't know. But yeah, this thing, something I plumbed like when I was still in college. And like I said, that is the original hose from Harbor Freight. Those are absolute junk. That's why the lubricator's off. I hate those things. Maybe they've gotten better. I don't know. Unfortunately, I bought several. They suck. That's something like that. Just buy Milton. Just do it right the first time. It is what it is. But, you know, this might have to go. That's why this box is parked funky. One, I haven't moved the... that snapper is so good back there. I'm telling you. That's Troy built, you know, whatever, but that snapper is a legend. Made a lot of money with that thing in high school. But anyway, I haven't really swung it over. I want to keep that gang outlet, obviously clear. I might have to tweak my airlines. This clearly is in the way. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if we were to go up. This is a Dukes of Hazzard section. I thought of running it there off of that square tube piece. The problem here is this is here's the rest of the wall art over here since you never really see it. Sunoco, Voodoo, that thing always gets messed up in the wind. But basically, and that is an LED light, if you're curious, the Duster 1340. We'll ignore the thermometer because it's going to make me colder if I look at it. Anyway, the problem here is this is a 3x3 weld up, right? So this wall, you're essentially you've got 3 in the corner, 3 there, 3 past the air compressor, and then 3 on that side, right? So this is essentially 13 feet. And then since I need the door to swing open there, we cut that down. If I build a wall, I've always kind of wanted pegboard and stuff, but I'm not a carpenter. I don't know these things. No one ever taught it to me. I was never around people that were doing it, and I could just kind of sort of learn by watching type of a deal. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do, but I do know if I simply pull that, I should be able to swing this guy into place, and then we can figure it all out. Again, I'm sure someone would love to trade this for a cheaper cabinet, especially if this goes up in price. Again, then they feel like they're getting a really good deal. But yeah, this, is what it is. I can't open the bottom drawer because I've populated some stuff from Harbor Freight that I've not gotten to showcase just yet. But, you kind of get the idea of what is in here. Yeah, stuff like this from that tool haul. This was just literally setting out. I don't have a station dedicated for the belt sander yet. And so it's going to be sort of, think of this as functional consumables, I guess is the best way to put it, because in my my little Craftsman box, which we'll eventually take a look at, you got tools, and then you've got the electrical drawer, and it's a mixture of tools and utility items, butt connectors, splices, tape, all that stuff. And then you get down to the bigger drawers where I have my air tools, and then it's not you just have your ratchet, your impact, and your sanders and die grinders. Well, I have to keep all the crud that goes with those in there, and then it gets packed too full, and it's cumbersome to dig out your die grinder, right? So think of this as the drawer above it, we put carbide burrs for the die grinder. The drawer above that, we put all of our sanding discs and, sanding rolls and all that type of stuff. Just so, it's technically a toolbox, but it's more of consumables and specialty stuff, right? So, because where else do you do this when you don't have pegboard lining your entire shop? Where does one hang this stuff? Same, think of just your grinding stones and discs, cutoff wheels. I can finally move those from the toolboxes that have the tools in them and just sort of populate it here. So for me, I think that's kind of a win. Again, this isn't really filled out all the way, but just random things are here, and we'll figure it out sort of as we go. So that's about it. I would say I think this would be a better cabinet for anyone if the drawers were just slightly deeper. Maybe keep 2 rows that are that depth, for wrenches or thin stuff, and then maybe just instead of having the 4 after it, change it to 2x2. I don't know. Just a thought. Granted, most people that buy this are also going to equip the top hutch, or have a side 26 hutch and then space for a bench grinder or something. But this is a huge upgrade. It really is. Even though I sort of probably should have, thought it out more. It was kind of just a deal where I never got to get in the store to check them out. And I thought, man, I don't know that there's ever going to be a sale like this again at this price point. Better pull the trigger. The craziest part of it all, which we sort of got away from, these shipped on Central Freight Lines, right? So they left California, both boxes, came on Central Freight Lines. That's great. Central, old company, started in Texas, right? They were headquartered in Waco. They shipped to the Fort Worth branch, and then they headed up my direction. I never once. When you buy something from Harbor Freight, okay, case in point, let's say that I bought this box and this battery because it was also on sale. Okay, this spoils something in the future, but whatever. If I bought this box and this box, Harbor Freight will email you, like if you log into your account when you buy online, you'll see a tracking number, and it will be for something that shipped on FedEx, which is this. And that's cool, but this shows up, in like 2 to 3 days, and you're thinking like, hey, this is not delivered. I don't have a clue on this. They will email you for every single item. So let's say that we bought this, the Cuttix, the NWS, and the flashlight. Everything is under one tracking number on your account. If this and the Cuttix shipped from California and these two shipped from Dillon, South Carolina, you still get one tracking number there. When you come in and you check your email, each individual item, you get an email for the battery, and it gives you tracking number 1200. You get an email for the Cuttix, and it gives you tracking number 1200. You get an email for your scissors, and it gives you tracking number 1201. You get an email for the Quantum, and it gives you tracking number 1201. At that point, you can just copy this tracking number and go direct to FedEx, who they usually ship on, and you can see like, okay, hey, this is leaving California. It'll be here in 3 days. This is leaving South Carolina. It will be here in 4 days. And you kind of know. Again, going to the account, whatever shipped first, you just see that. And so when this arrives and you don't have these, you're like, what's going on? You have to go to your email, copy and paste the tracking number, and go to town. It'll give you the option, 2 places, to track the order or to click the tracking number. It always brings you back to the original item. All right. The problem is, like, if you go to the FAQ section, it's like, we ship on FedEx Ground and FedEx Freight. And you're like, well, cool, that's like UPS, but they deliver on the weekend more. So this little box here is not coming on FedEx Ground or FedEx Home, right? It's going to go FedEx Freight. That's why you had to pay the $100. So that tracking number is radically different, and you copy it and you paste it in the FedEx deal, and it comes up, not in our system, does not exist, whatever jargon. I had waited and waited and waited on this first box, and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. I don't know when this is coming. I kind of wanted to be here, to like direct the truck and have it come to the shop, not the house type of a thing. I can't do that when I don't know anything. Typically, I usually just have my stuff shipped to work and then I drive it home in the truck. Currently not an option. So I've been having everything come home, right? Like when I got my pallet rack, the guy's like, hey, I got a call from that carrier like a week out. Like, I don't even think the stuff had left the facility it was manufactured in. And they're like, hey, we've got a delivery for you that should be coming next week. Is this a good number to reach you at? Will you be home? And it's like, yeah, keep me posted. Then, of course, the day of delivery, I think the lady calls the day before, and then they actually had her call and the driver call. Driver calling like when he was 30, 40 minutes out. That way I could get home from work to help him. That was great, and I thought, okay, well, that will be my saving grace. Surely the FedEx dude, which I recently had him deliver some stuff in the summer, and I know him. He used to be my delivery driver at work, or one of the route drivers, I should say. And I was like, oh, yeah, it'll probably be that guy. Cool, we'll take care of it. I never heard anything, and I'm like, I wonder if they've lost these. Like, are they just sitting somewhere? What's going on? And I emailed Harbor Freight, and of course, holiday season, everything going on, big sales. I've had really good sales recently on some items. So they're like, yeah, it might take, a couple days for us to get back to you. I think I emailed them Monday. This is Saturday. I've still never heard back. But my question was like, hey, here's my order number. Here's the tracking number. Here's another order with another tracking number, for another box. Is this on FedEx? Like, who's the carrier? I'm not able to track this. If you could just tell me the carrier or provide a link, I'll disappear, drop out of your hair, and we'll be done. Never heard back. This turned out to come on Central, which, like I said, great freight layer, super cheap if you did not know, and that might be part of their problem. But I finally, it was the day of 80-mile-an-hour wind this week, Wednesday. Got home, and boom, there were some freaking toolboxes on the driveway. Totally unexpected, blocking the garage door, which to the driver's credit, he doesn't know. He puts them up there. Did a good job. Everything was in good shape. He turned out to be a pretty cool guy, by the way. But I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, well, hey, if this came on Central, there's a really high chance that the other box is going to come on Central. So I copy and paste the tracking number, throw it in Central system, boom, it's tracked. Okay, and I'm like, cool, now I kind of know. Well, Problem was, on the central homepage, which I didn't go to the first time because I just typed in central tracking, I backtracked, went to it. They went out of business Monday, December 13th. And this currently is Saturday the 18th. So you never want to have something, like if it was the battery, okay, but this to me is expensive, you know, even though it's on sale with coupons and everything, like that's an expensive item, and you don't want to have that coming on a carrier that's out of business, of all things. So I'm like super worried. You call the terminal, there's no answers, you start researching it more, people are ticked off, everything you could imagine when you lose your job unexpectedly. Apparently someone leaked the information Saturday, so people were aware. Some people at various offices and drivers just quit going, you know, went to other jobs. The good news is for the drivers, yeah, they should be picked up pretty quick if that's what they want to continue doing, especially this time of year. The bad news is obviously they're going to be super depressed or angry or some combination thereof, because it happens right before Christmas and New Year's where bonuses typically come. It's just a real bad deal, and it sucks for them, but it's also really bad for anyone that had stuff on the carrier, right? Like, I had no idea this was going on. I didn't get to spec out the freight line. I'm just the innocent guy that bought something because it was on sale and doesn't know if it's ever going to be this cheap and affordable again. So you can't call anyone because no one's working. It turned out there was, I guess this guy that delivered was like the head driver / manager of the terminal. They don't have anyone in the office. He has one other driver. It's just the two of them. He wasn't even sure if he was going to go to work on Friday. I can't blame the guy. They were actually trying to get done. In theory, of course, Central Corporate's like, yeah, you know, don't worry, we're going to ship everything out, get it all to you. And they very well probably will. But if they have their local people just disappear, when is someone from Waco or Fort Worth or someone still willing to work for them going to get everything done where they are and then be transposed out of position up here in the holidays and deliver stuff? Total nightmare situation. So I could not be happier. Again, this guy arrived perfect. The box didn't even have a scratch on it. This guy's box looked like it had been through hell and back twice. I was terrified because I was like, there is no way that this thing doesn't have a gash in it. And when it's got the box covering it, I don't know if the box that's gashed so bad is on the drawer side or the back side. The pallet, again, you know, it kind of just sits on the wood. There's risers. This had partial segments of a pallet here and there. The casters were on the ground, which was convenient, you know, I'm not going to lie, for me getting it in easier, aside from the fact it was on crushed rock, which is a nightmare. I did use its box, what was left of it, and that one's box, which was in good shape, to create a makeshift roadway to come in this door right here. Again, the driver, I caught him Thursday. I kind of looked at what happened Wednesday when it was delivered and I was at work, and I kind of had a timeline. They loaded up, so it was out for delivery. I'm like, I got to get home. So met the driver. You know, at first he's kind of like, oh, you know, I'm just supposed to leave this stuff. I'm in a hurry. Because like I said, he had a ton of stuff going on, obviously running through his mind right now. And then I shimmied the other box on a pallet all the way out to his truck. You'll see that at some point in time. And I was like, dude, if we can just get this over there, you know, I'll get in the back of the truck. I do this at work all the time anyway. We oftentimes have to load our own pallet jack and trucks to move stuff. Not an issue for me. And, you know, he kind of appreciated that, came over. Turned out he's a super nice dude. I was trying to help him. You know, I know a ton of people in freight here, so I'm like, hey, if you need references, let me know. That type of a deal. Turned out to, like I said, be super cool dude, super helpful, went above and beyond, especially given the craptacular circumstances he finds himself in. But yeah, this was terrible. I don't know how. There's like a couple of places on it, but my deal is, how do you file a freight claim on a freight line that's going out of business? That's an egg, a nightmare I don't even want to get into. I know how freight claims go from work. It's like a lost cause at this point in time. So that's where we are. That's how this got here Wednesday, or that one got here Wednesday in an 80-mile-an-hour windstorm in pristine shape. I'll give it to Central on that transit. This one arrived Thursday, and it was not in great shape. But it's functional. Everything's good. Again, my biggest issue is just like the drawers. You know, I've never had anything that you like have to physically push back into a latch. So that'll take some getting used to. I need to anchor it down because obviously I can come to a drawer and pull it, and we pull the box from the wall, but I'm leaving myself some flexibility here. Yeah, so this is still a fluid situation for me. This one, or one of them, we're going to populate. I'll get it set up like I want it to. Who knows, I might wind up loving the drawer configuration. And then maybe our solution is we buy another El Cheapo, which that's the good news. What I want now is like the cheapest thing imaginable with the fewest number of drawers possible, because I just want to stack, like pack outs and husky cases and, all my little Plano boxes in, and go to town that way. But yeah, so this has been quite the little saga here. This is mainly just like for your entertainment, and anyone that can relate to this, I feel for you, but you always feel better when you're like, well, I thought I was the only person that got screwed around with stuff like that. No, there's more. You may not know about them or find them, but I assure you there's more. So what I will do is ask you this, going with what I'm talking about. In fact, I could just I could run you up to some of the other boxes, I guess. What would you do, like in an ideal world? This is what I'm trying to create, is like my ideal situation, right? So whether I put, who knows, maybe I'll solve it by putting like my air tools in here. If they fit, I don't know that they do, because again, all the drawers are so shallow. But in an ideal situation where you've got like your tools in one place, your consumables in another, maybe that's not ideal. Maybe people want like the split bank here, where you have all your grinding tools in the long drawer and you have the consumables in the short drawer. Maybe that's the better setup. I don't really know. I'm just trying to figure things out as I go. But what would you do here? We've got obviously two 44-inch US General roll cabinets. What would you do? Would you build a table across the top of them? Would you just use their work surfaces? Would you run wood across, mount like a vise on either end? The point there obviously being I would be able to like run pipe, like if I was, cutting or, slitting type of thing, it would give you like an auxiliary work surface essentially. Would you do my original idea of the table across the top? Would you build a wall back here and have, pegboard behind it? Sad thing there, like I really like my sign layout on this side of the shop. This whole wall is covered in signs and stuff, if you did not know. But yeah, I'm just trying to kind of figure all that out. And like I said, I'm at a point where I just am going to have to wing it. I'm going to have to see how things pan out. But I can tell my nose is starting to run. My feet are like ice blocks right now, standing by the door where I am. So I think we're going to end it here. But the top drawer has stuff that just came in today in that box that we're going to showcase pretty soon, because I'm super excited to start using it. The bottom drawer has some stuff from Harbor Freight we need to showcase. And then the rest is kind of just like a hodgepodge right now as I try to figure out what I'm doing. So that's it. If you've got ideas, let me know. If you've done something similar, obviously that would be ideal. But yeah, it's a fluid situation. If this was instead of like 13 drawers, right? If it was like 9 or 11 type of a thing, would probably be better, but we're going to make this work. We'll see what we want to do with that. We'll figure it all out over time, but yeah. Let me know if you've got any ideas or suggestions. If you've got any crazy stories. I know I can't be the only person that took advantage of these like Black Friday sales, and when these are on sale with coupons and stuff. So if you did this, who was your carrier? Did you run into any issues? Some of you like farther back east, I don't know if they like have some stock of boxes in the Carolinas and the rest is in California. I don't really know what their supply chain distribution hub setup is at Harbor Freight, but I know both of mine, the boxes all came out of California. So like if you were a state or two over, or a little farther north and east, like the whole central thing might really screw you over. I don't know if they spec out the lines based on just like the lowest bid or what they do, but I know it was not FedEx. So we'll call it good. And Central, man, that back in the day, not here recently. Here recently, I've not used Central much at all. But back in the day, they had like really good freebies. Like Freight Lines, just had crazy promotional items all the time. Pez dispensers. I think I still have the Central Pez dispenser. It was pretty cool. Baseball bats. I mean, if they start sponsoring NASCAR stuff, like you get some pretty cool stuff when you ship a lot. Like those people just show up, they try to take you to dinner, and then they like throw you like every promotional item that you can see in those catalogs you get mailed, like they've got them, and they've got like ones that are super cool. So overall, I'm sure I was probably in high school the last time we were really using Central, but like all the time type of a deal. Typically the way we operate is like somebody does freight damage and they don't honor the claim, and they kind of like try to weasel out of it, and then like we quit using them, and then eventually we come back to them because the people we were using do something more egregious than they did, you know, type of a deal. Or sometimes, you know, every once in a while you have a good rep and they're like, hey, you know, they're not going to fix that, they refuse to do it, but I got you an even better rate going here, here, and here, which is where you typically ship, and you're like, hey, okay. You know. But yeah, that's hopefully, I don't know how many of you deal in freight and freight reps and stuff. Some of you might be in the industry as freight reps yourselves. You know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, Central, it's a very, very sad story. That was a pretty big company. They had recently bought up a lot of like smaller lines, I guess the last 5 to 10 years or so. That might have been what tanked them. It could have just been like, the vibe I got from Central is like everyone else is sort of like modernizing and adjusting rates and increasing prices, and they're sort of like, you know, still operating like it's the late 80s, early 90s, which is super good for the consumer, but not so great for them type of a deal. So I don't know. The good news, like I said, I don't think anyone that was tied in there, you know, especially drivers, is going to have a hard time finding employment if they want to stay in that field. Sales reps, higher up people, managers, I'm pretty sure, Central, especially in Texas, Central Texas especially, you know, like Fort Worth, Waco area, they had their hand on a lot of freight. So I'm pretty sure all those people will be in demand. I don't know about the other terminals. I would think, again, if you want to stay in that line of work, you could get brought in somewhere pretty easy. Some people might use it as an opportunity for like a career change. I don't know, but that's really unfortunate timing. But yeah, so both boxes arrived and they're in here now, and that was a big part of the journey. This is the easy part, figuring out what I'm going to do. But if you got ideas, let me know. I might put them into play. We'll have to see. One of these boxes might go away. They both might stay and be the greatest purchase I've ever made. I don't know yet, but we're going to figure it out. It should be fun. And I will leave it at that because I really want to get away from this door. So LoneStarMopars.com is the website. Thank you so much for watching. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. We'll eventually probably showcase this maybe when it's like filled up. And again, don't expect like hand tools, you know, maybe power tools, maybe air tools, maybe specialty tools, but mainly like consumables and specialty consumables, at least in one of them. The other one, I don't know yet. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Again, leave a comment. Let me know what you would do, what you think would be best. If like this is a terrible idea and I should have done something else, tell me. I mean, I'm open to it. The problem is it's not going to be the easiest thing to like offload these. You know, it's always kind of cumbersome, but we'll figure it out. Again, I'm not afraid to admit, like, yeah, probably should have done this. Regardless, I got a good deal, and I don't know that I will ever get a better deal. And that's sort of my ultimate saving grace. Like, even if this turns out to be an idiotic decision, it was still a pretty good deal. So I got that going for me. But the rest of it could be a total train wreck, but at least that part went right. So yeah, but in terms of like checking this out, you've seen them a million times. If you haven't, tons of people have unboxed them, done toolbox tours, and that's probably what we'll do. But I mean, it's 44, 22. You got one big drawer at the top. You got split bank in the middle, offset. We've got the big drawer at the bottom. Every other drawer is like the same size, and there's going to be 5 here, 5 there. You're big, and that's what we've got. So if you want to see specs or anything like that, I tell you what, like, I should have done this a long time ago. I cut this out of the good box solely for like future videos on it. So 44 by 22, they come in tons of cool colors. The US General lineup, you should know. 14,000 cubic inches of storage. I'm not necessarily huge on that because you would have to have everything itemized perfectly to take advantage of the height in each drawer, sometimes being minimal. 2,600 pound weight capacity, not an issue for consumables. 22-inch depth. They say high capacity, full extension ball bearing drawer slides, double slides on all drawers, industrial powder coat finish, resists rust, secure detents, keep drawers. They're not kidding there. Heavy duty 5-inch casters, 2 fixed, 2 locking swivel. Doing what I did, I would have loved to have had 2 more swivel casters on there. Non-slip pre-cut drawer liners, which are pretty nice. The top is actually good too, better than some anyway. And barrel lock keeps your tools secure and safe. So yeah, that's that. Again, if you want to see more on this, just let me know. I can make it happen. But I'm getting really cold. I've got some more I wanted to do out here. I'm going to try to make that happen. So thanks for watching. Have a great week. I'll catch you back here next time.